What's up, guys? You might be wondering why we're standing out here looking at the pretty landscape and the cows in the distance. Well, that's because I got something really special standing right behind me. So let me give you a quick backstory. I didn't get my first motorcycle until 2006, and the bike I got was a Honda VTX 1300, which was a pretty big, heavy cruiser, especially for a beginner. It was a good bike. I did like it. I put really loud pipes on it, but pretty soon I realized it's too big and too heavy, and I picked up a 2008 Suzuki V-Strom, which I had for a long time and commuted on. And right around a year after that, I thought about buying a sports bike. Younger kid in my 20s, and I figured, hey, might as well get something, right? So I went shopping, and at the time I was really into motorcycle magazines. I pretty much understood the entire catalog of what was available. So I went to a dealer and I test rode the two top bikes I wanted to ride. However, even though I liked both of them, one was a big brother, one was a small brother, if you will, I ended up going to another dealership and purchasing an Aprilia 210. It was a 2009 Aprilia, the V-Twin 210 1000R. And I had that bike for a couple of years. It was mostly a garage piece because honestly, the Italians did not do a good job with putting that thing together. The modern Aprilia is a lot better, but that one particularly wasn't the best example, especially for riding in city traffic and commuting. It was good for highway, it was good for track day, stuff like that, but that's not something I'm into. So I ended up selling that, and since then I've had a KTM 1190. And then when I moved here, I basically sold that KTM, and I didn't have a road bike for just over a year. Well, I'm old, midlife crisis, if you will, and I decided to buy my dream bike. So I went looking, and I did find a few examples, and there's one that really caught my eye, and I drove all the way to Georgia, about 5 hours to pick it up, and I bought it, and I've had it for a couple months. I spent some time wrenching on it, and now it's mine, and I am extremely happy with it. So without further ado, bam. Yep. That's a Triumph Speed Triple. It's a 2009 model. Has about 10,000 miles on it. It's in really good shape. It wasn't in the shape when I got it, so I'll go over a few details here that I had to modify and fix. But here she is. And I am ecstatic. This is the bike I wanted since 2008, 2009 timeframe. I test rode a Speed Triple. I test rode a Street Triple. I love both, and I ended up not buying them. And since then, I've kept purchasing motorcycles that were not this one, but every time I saw one somewhere, my head would turn. And every time I saw one riding by, I was envious that it wasn't mine. So, life is short, and you gotta buy something that makes you happy once in a while, right? Doesn't have to be a big motorcycle. Could be anything that your soul desires, but I do think it's important to fulfill your dreams, and here's mine. So when I got this bike, it was in good shape, but it didn't quite look the way it's supposed to. Couple of things that I've basically modified and changed, starting from the top here. I put on new grips and new levers. It had gold levers, which I didn't like. It had Triumph bar and mirrors, which were kind of old and not really working well, so I put these guys on. Put my GPS on, hardwired it to the battery. Cleaned it up a little bit. These covers weren't here either. It had gold covers with kind of different blinkers, so I changed it to the stock covers. I like the look a lot better. Gold and orange in my book don't really walk well, that on the side at least. The handlebars I'm okay with, but that didn't look right. I put on the sliders here and here on the other side as well. Put on the frame sliders. Kind of polished stuff up as well. Removed all of the emissions garbage, whole pile of tubes and wires and everything, so that's gone. I powder coated the rear sets because they were painted and they were peeling off, so that was terrible. And I sourced a SP Engineering exhaust from the UK, which I love. It sounds amazing. Got the tank bag, got the grip pads. Now the tail section was a complete mess. It had the light that's on there now, but it was MacGyver down with weird brackets. The stuff didn't fit. It just looked terrible. So I got the Competition Works tail section, which I'll show you here. Looks like that. And I had that powder coated as well. So I think the bike looks pretty good. There are a few dings and scratches here and there, but overall, It's in really good shape for its age. I mean, this is a 2009, so it's got, what, 13, 14 years? And I'm really happy. Oh yeah, put on air horn as well. Now, interesting fact. Not sure if you guys are familiar with the show Last Man Standing with Tim Allen. In episode 9, I believe, of the first season, he pulls into a garage, supposedly, on a motorcycle, riding with someone else that was in the show. And there's a shot of the bike you see for a brief second. And this is the bike. So there's actually the Tim Allen signature underneath the seat. And that's where all the gold hardware came from. That's where all the aftermarket carbon fiber came from, because they put it together for the show. Now, you know, everything on TV is basically fake, so a lot of the stuff didn't fit quite right. But like I said, I fixed it all, and right now this bike is in pretty pristine shape. Anyway, you guys want to go for a ride and hear what it sounds like? Me too. Let's do it. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah. I don't think I'll ever get tired of that sound. So here she is. Like I said, that SB Engineering exhaust is pretty loud. Granted, I don't have to be that high of an RPM. Maybe you can hear me better now. This is an area that's close to my house. I live in the basically country of Alabama here. But there's a lot of cool roads nearby. There's pretty good for taking a quick spin. So we're going to take one in a second here. But yeah, this is the bike. She rides really nice. I believe these been dynoed to be about 120 horsepower at the rear wheels, and they're pushing, you know, for I think 50, 460 pounds, right? So with my 190 pounds on it, this is a heavy bike. So you're not going to get super bike performance out of it, but I kind of like that. It's very predictable, it's very smooth. You can't really do anything stupid on it. It does go, especially when it starts winding out, you know, red lines at 10,000. So when you get into about 5,000-6,000, it starts to pull pretty good. But all the way from the bottom up, it's just butter smooth, especially since I removed all the emissions equipment. It popped, or I should say, deceleration popped a lot with the secondary air injection, obviously. So since I removed that, it's been really good. I also got the 3-into-1 tune for it, for the low pipe, so I cleaned it up a little bit as well. And like I said, it's very smooth, no complaints. So welcome to rural Alabama. This is pretty much how everything looks around here. We're not that far from the big city, but definitely out here it's mostly farmers, which I like. So these are the views. Running on fairly new tires, so I'm not going to be pushing anything. I got a set of Pirelli Diablo Rosso 4, and they've been pretty good so far. But like I said, they're fairly new, so there is a lot of gravel on these roads. And as you've come expect from me, nothing happens fast, right? She basically pulls in any gear. It's pretty great. I'm always hesitant around areas like this because you can see the gravel creeps up onto the road, and even though I'm used to dirt, it's a little bit different on these tires. might be asking yourself, why did I wait this long to buy this bike? Because essentially, when I wanted this bike was brand new, right? 2008, 2009 time frame. Hard to say, you know. I'm kind of a conservative guy, and I end up buying things that make sense to my brain more so than my heart a lot of times. I try to combine the two, but a lot of times it's the brain that wins. And this is not a really practical bike for commuting, for example. It doesn't have any luggage space. The V-Strom was a much better commuter. So was the 1190. Put a big top case on it and you're golden. And then it's not, I would argue, that much of a showy bike. It is now. I'm not sure if it was when it came out. And so when I saw the Aprilia, that really kind of stole my heart, at least visually. But I think since then my views have matured, and I realized this is an iconic look. Like, I could have powder coated those headlights. They are a little rusty on the bottom, but I can't, because as much as I hate chrome, this is it. This is what the Street Triple is known for, right? Those double headlights. I don't understand people who have the 1050, which is this generation of bike, and replace the two headlights with a single one. I just don't get it. I mean, to each their own, I get that, right? Not everyone likes the exhaust I have, I understand that. But if there's one feature that defines this bike, it's those headlights. What's up, cows? I like cows. Anyway, as you can tell, I'm pretty excited. I don't ride this thing as much as I should, but a lot of it was just wrenching on it. I wanted to make sure everything was in pristine shape. Like I said, the wiring was kind of bad. The previous owner did a good job of maintaining it, but the guy who had it before him, who was actually the guy who bought it from Tim Allen, I think he maintained his vehicles and everything. I question his sanity, because some of the stuff that was on here was just garbage. I'm kind of a meticulous guy. You know, I'm fairly mechanically inclined, especially when it comes to electrics. And this thing was a bit of a mess, so everything's cleaned up. Like I said, it's in pristine shape now. And I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, I don't want to, you know, cause any bad luck here, but it's been pretty flawless. One thing I have to say is that majority of the roads in this state are pretty good. Yeah, there are some country roads that are just a disaster. In fact, there are a few in the area here. But overall, the quality of the tarmac is really nice. Definitely goes. I'm not a fan of owning things just to own them. Like, people will have things they never use, and I am that kind of person with one thing I have, but that's a long story. For the most part, I like using the things I spend money on. But this bike, honestly, even if I never rode it again, I'd be happy just looking at it. Every time I walk into my garage and I see it sitting there just staring at me with the bug eyes, I just smile. It's really weird having a dream for that long. I mean, 14 years, right? And then making it come true. Part of it is a little sad, because that desire is gone, right? You have it, you've accomplished it, you've acquired it, whatever. But at the same time, it feels pretty great, because it really does speak to the soul, you know? I think you're I think you're born a motorcyclist. It's either in your blood or it isn't. Now granted, there's varying degrees of that, right? And some people like only road, some people like only dirt. Personally, you know, I kind of like both, honestly. Dirt is a relatively new thing for me, all things considered. So I spent a lot more miles and years on the road. But to me, both are an escape, right? Both are thrilling in their own ways, and both are fun. But there's got to be a balance. Nonetheless, it's either in your blood or it isn't. I think if you're not into bikes, you would never understand the love someone can develop for something like this, right? Same thing for cars, really, anything mechanical. People sometimes buy a car and it's just a car. They don't care. It gets run down, it gets smashed up, it doesn't bother them. Others buy a car and it's their treasured possession, and they have it for 20, 30, 40 years. They pass it on to their kids, you know? So I get it. But to me, this bike is definitely special. Anyway guys, I'm getting close to my house here, so I want to thank you for watching. I don't know if this is going to turn into an on-road series. I tried that before and it failed miserably, but maybe once in a while when I go for a ride, I'll take you guys along, show you something a little different. There's a lot to see in Alabama, and not everything is a farmhouse. So hopefully in the future there'll be more of these videos, and let me know what you thought. Let me know what you think about this bike. Maybe tell me about your first bike or your passion for bikes. I'm always curious to hear where people are in their lives and kind of what they're into. So again, appreciate everyone watching, and we'll see you soon.